Welcome to the Orange Nerd Show, where we're going to dive into the history, some of the memories, the nostalgia of the Disney Channel, and we're going to talk about the future of the Disney Channel up next. Hey everybody, welcome aboard to another episode of the Orange Nerd Show. I brought my great panel with me again today, Mr. Vash Sky, and down below, Mr. D, Family Man 23. We'll start off with Mr. Freshly Squeezed. Dre, if you can let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media, sir.
Hello there. Best place to find me is at Vash Sky. That's right down there, like how it's spelled. And to see me, well, it's on your channel at OrangeGo55 at Freshly Squeezed, your source for juice, news, and info, squeezed fresh right from the Grove. So that's where you can find me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And down below, Mr. D23, where can everyone at home find you?
You can find me on my YouTube channel, Disney Family Man 23, also under the same name on my Instagram. You can also find me on Twitter at Disney George, and of course on your channel with Citrus Corner.
Cool, awesome. All right, let's dive in. So this show is going to be kind of split up into two parts. The first part will be our memories, our nostalgia, what we watched as kids on the Disney Channel. The second half of the show is going to be the future of the Disney Channel. Right? So it's a two-parter. So you should watch this video twice. Believe me, it's better the second time. I promise. All right. So let's talk about it. Okay. So Dre, I'll start with you first, sir. Now you are a 90s kid, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah. 90s kid. Our family only had cable for a limited amount of time, but within that amount of time, I was there at the Disney Channel, Disney Afternoon kind of era of the Disney company, and it was quite an exciting time. You had a lot of kids programming around this time. Obviously, the Boomers were having kids of their own, and well, that's where a lot of family programming was born out of. So it's a very interesting time, to say the least.
It was, and in the pre-show we were talking off air about and I think you brought up a great description for those early Disney Channel years, that scrappy kind of Michael Eisner era, and that's what it was. It felt very Disney. Didn't feel like the polished mega multinational corporation it does now. Like Moon Knight and all these glossy, high budget shows. Like back in those Disney Channel days, a lot of these shows felt very much like PBS almost, right? It was kind of like more low budget, educational for kids kind of stuff. It was interesting. But now growing up in the 90s, what kind of shows, or what shows in particular did you latch onto, did you watch growing up on Disney Channel?
Everybody talks about a lot of the Disney Afternoon shows, DuckTales, Tailspin, Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers, obviously, and yes, all of those I had profound attachment for. But one of the ones that kind of goes under the radar that I watched as a kid growing up was a little show called Gargoyles.
Oh,
anybody remember that?
I do remember that. It was kind of like Disney's answer to Batman, the animated series.
Exactly. I was just gonna say it was Disney's answer to Batman, and for all the other Disney Channel programming, this one was particularly dark and edgy, and the tone was completely different than anything else featured on the Disney Channel at the time, and so that one was always okay, you know what? Some of this programming, maybe appeals to, those little kids, but Gargoyles, man, yeah, I'll stay and watch that even as a young adult. So it's pretty fun.
Gargoyles was really unique because Gargoyles was like that one time where I was like, wow, Disney kind of surprised me, because right now Disney's like chin deep in the superhero stuff and the dark gritty stuff, but back then it was different. Disney was a completely different company back then, and for them to release an animated show like Gargoyles was really revolutionary for them. It really, really was.
Mhm.
And I'm really surprised they haven't tried to reboot that. I would love to see Gargoyles.
They're in talks. They're in talks for it.
What? You heard it here first, for folks. They're in time. You heard a rumor? Is it credible or?
Yes. It's a very credible source that they are in talks with bringing back Gargoyles in a quote unquote new way.
Oh, so maybe like a CGI or live action, or maybe like a Marvel-esque kind of superheroes kind of style thing. That's interesting. I'd be on board for that.
That would be cool. You know, we did hear about X-Men, the animated television series, getting a reboot or something coming up. So that'd be cool to go after some of these, older television shows like Gargoyles and whatnot, and bring them back. That would be pretty cool. Man, I'm excited.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool, man. That would be pretty cool. That was a great show for its time. I mean, not even for its time, just a great show, period. And like we talked about, it was like Disney's answer to Batman, and it was really cool. It was really cool. Did you enjoy it, George? I mean, did you?
Yeah, absolutely. I watched everything when it came time to the original Disney Channel and the Disney Afternoon, from Darkwing Duck, Goof Troop, Gummy Bears. So it was like I watched all those. And growing up, as like I was like on the borderline when I was born, like ending the 80s into the 90s. So it was like I still got that nostalgic 80s while still being in the 90s sort of thing. But yeah, I did really enjoy Gargoyles.
Yeah. Well, all the Disney Afternoon stuff was phenomenal, and I know that it had crossover appeal because out here in California, in Southern California, it was on KCal 9, but it also was shown on the Disney Channel. They kind of cross-pollinated or whatever you want to call it, but it was interesting. It was very, very interesting. George, I mean, look, it's no secret. You are a huge Dumbo Circus fan.
I have like several shows that was part of the Disney Channel that if you even mention to a diehard Disney fan, a lot of them don't even know what I'm talking about. And it's like that Dumbo Circus, The Adventures of Wonderland. You have Welcome to Pooh Corner, and then there was also a show that was on the Disney Channel, which actually was produced and shot in Canada. It was actually a Canadian show called Under the Umbrella Tree.
Oh, dude, you took it out of... I was actually going to mention that one. That's funny. That is okay, let's bring this up real quick. That is so funny you brought that up. I did not expect that, George. Wow, you threw me for a loop with this. Yeah. Let me go ahead and get the picture up, because I was not expecting you to even mention that. Wow, man.
Oh yeah, I was like dedicated to the Disney Channel like every single day.
That's fascinating. This is a show. I used to love this show. Dre, do you remember this? Or no?
Man, this must have been before my time. This must have been the 1983 through 1990 version of Disney Channel here.
This is Disney Channel deep cuts right here. This is a deep cut. But if I remember correctly, the bird was, I think his name was Jay, right? Like Blue Jay. If I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that.
Jake. I think it was Jake.
Jake. Okay. And then the lizard was Izzy or something. Iggy. I think Iggy. Okay, I'm close. And then the little otter or whatever her name is was
Gopher was Gloria.
Gloria. Okay. Yeah, this is a great show. And this, I don't know, like, you're right. This was a Canadian show, but it had that kind of Jim Henson feel to it.
Yes.
Very charming. Dre, I don't even know where you can find this. Even if you wanted to check it out of curiosity,
you could actually find several episodes, actually full-length episodes on YouTube.
Okay, there you go. That's your answer.
Oh man.
You want to check it out?
That's sad from a 31-year-old man who already knows like where to find these sources.
That's hilarious. I'm absolutely only 31, and I'm flabbergasted that you even remember this. I'm flabbergasted. This is old Disney Channel, you know.
Wow.
Yes, this is old.
That's interesting. That's very, very interesting. So you loved Under the Umbrella Tree.
I did. It was like clockwork. I used to watch Dumbo Circus came on first, and then it was Under the Umbrella Tree, and then it was Welcome to Pooh Corner. It was like those three like simultaneously. And then
Right.
after Pooh Corner, they would put on the classic Mickey Mouse cartoons. I don't know if you guys are familiar like with the original Disney Channel where they would have like the older like 1940s, 1950s Mickey Mouse shorts, and they would just air them on the Disney Channel completely random in between the shows.
Yeah, they would, and they would even like they would even package them in different like they would even package them in like different shows. Like it would have like a I forgot the names, but they would have like 30-minute shows like Mickey's whatever, and then they'd have like they would just show like the old Walt Disney shorts, you know.
Right.
And they would do that periodically through the day. This is Pooh Corner that George is referring to. Now, this is funny because like Pooh,
Yeah.
like Pooh is so in the animation world, you would call this off model. It doesn't quite. This is like, you know, you ever go to like Hollywood Boulevard, like across the street from like the El Capitan. And
yeah,
then, like
you have those people standing there,
Yes.
like with their signs and everything.
Yes.
yeah, that's what this is. This is giving off that energy. But it was a great show. It was like this English guy, and I feel terrible not remembering who the actor was. But English guy in a chair, right, George? He would like kind of read off.
He was the narrator. He would start the show off every day, and he'd kind of give like a brief synopsis of what the story he was about to tell.
Yeah,
with him and his friends, and yeah, it's so horrible of me. I can't recall the actor's name, but yeah, it's definitely a British actor. Very like, you know, he has like that thick accent.
Yeah, it was a cool show. Look, these are all children's shows. You know, I mean, these are all like we were that age where like we got something out of it. It was fun, you know, but it was quality kids entertainment at that time, and it was Disney utilizing the IP that they had at the time. But it was interesting. It was very, very interesting. Now, I'm going to ask you both a question because this one right here might surprise you. And actually, I'm sure, George, I'm sure you know. You're probably going to be like, oh, yeah, I watch it every morning. Let me see. Because Mouser size.
Oh,
yes. Man, this is a trip.
Right? Is it how long has it been since you've heard that Mouser size?
Oh my goodness gracious. Well, you know, because I've done research on it as, you know, recently, it's so like, you know, earlier today, but as far as like seeing it, man, it's been a while. Like it's been a long time. This is pure 80s classic Disney Channel right here.
Look at those outfits. I mean, that's like screaming 80s.
Yeah. It was, yeah, like the ankle warmers or whatever you want to call those that she has on. I mean, you can't get more 80s than that, you know?
Well, it was a clever idea because, you know, it's like, as far as like, you know, kind of this fitness programming, it was kind of popular at the time. You know, you didn't have to have much production value to actually do it. You could bust out the old, you know, character costumes from the parks, throw them in here, and there you go. You got some programming for your premium cable channel.
Yeah. This was. I used to watch this. Now this is another deep cut, another Disney Channel deep cut. I mean, this is one of those things like I don't know exactly when this premiered, but pretty close to the birth of the Disney Channel.
Right.
I'm thinking early to mid '80s, almost certainly.
Right.
Yeah, I would think so because it came out around the same time with Pooh Corner, and Pooh Corner ran from 1983 to 1986.
Right. Now you mentioned, George, you did mention this little gem.
Yes.
Which, ironically enough, the gal who plays Alice, right here, the gal who plays Alice, Elizabeth. Oh man, her last name is leaving me right now. Oh, hold on one sec. I'm sorry.
I know.
Elizabeth Arnois. I'm not.
Yeah, she has like a very like fancy last name.
Yeah, like a French last name. She's almost the exact same age as me, like almost to the day. It's hilarious. But this show, Adventures in Wonderland, was a really great show. I really enjoyed this. And it was so 90s. It was like early 90s, but it was so 90s because Tweedledee and Tweedledum were like rappers.
Yes. Yep.
You remember that? It was like they were like
Sure
rappers.
do.
It was just so 90s. And I don't know. I thought this show was really, really fun. Did you get a chance to ever watch this, Drake? I know you're younger than us, but like, have you ever had a chance to watch this, or are you familiar with it? Or
Not as much. I mean, my kind of, foray into puppeteering kind of programming would be like Bear in the Big Blue House. So this predated that a little bit for me. So I wasn't as exposed to it as maybe you guys were. But this, from what I understand, was a very popular show. I mean, it did extremely well on this Loden cable channel.
It did. And the cool thing too is like when Michael Eisner, we're gonna dip into the parks a little bit. I know this is OrangeNerd, but we'll dip into the parks a little bit. Michael Eisner had a big push when he built Disney MGM Studios, right? There was a big push to have like a lot of the Disney content filmed at that park, right? MMC, Mickey Mouse Club, we'll get into that in a minute because I was a huge fan of that. But this was another show that was filmed at Disney MGM Studios. Actually,
Yes,
when you were to watch the show, this would actually be at the very end. It would say, I think it was like the White Rabbit or the March Hare. I forgot. But one of those gentlemen would voice this saying, videotaped at the Disney MGM Studios in Lake Buena Vista, Florida, which I thought was pretty cool. I mean, I don't know if, and George, you're the Citrus Corner guy. You're the Florida guy, man. Like, do these sound stages even exist anymore, man? Or is that bulldozed for Batu?
No, that's completely gone. I mean, like they were part of the backlot tour when they had the Catastrophe Canyon and everything. And it would be like almost like when you would do the backlot tram tour, it would almost be like a half-day experience, like where you would, and unfortunately, of where Toy Story Land is now is where all these sound stages were. And it's in a way it's sort of like a dying art form, so to speak, because this was a working studio. And as you had mentioned before, that's where they also filmed the new Mickey Mouse Club and even the animation building. That's where most of the animation went for Mulan. And it's like none of those special gems that made the studios a studio is not there anymore. So, I mean, it's very sad. But Adventures in Wonderland was one of the shows, and I'm so glad that they added it to Disney Plus, because that kind of tells me that, Dumbo and and Pooh Corner may be on the horizon if they were, they added those in. But of course, I'm always one that goes on Disney Plus, and you know how you can give your suggestion of what you want, what kind of content you want on. And I go on there every couple weeks and I'll type in the same thing: Dumbo Circus, Dumbo Circus, Dumbo Circus.
Great. Yeah, I love you, George. I love you, man. You are so on brand, dude. You are so on brand. That's great. That is so good.
But as a little trivia thing, the actor who plays the White Rabbit, which, by the way, it was the White Rabbit who made the announcement at the end.
Okay. No, thank you. I wasn't aware. I didn't know if it was the White Rabbit or the March Hare, but I'm glad you clarified that.
Okay, so I'm going to really date myself of how old I am as I've gotten older into my teenage years. I know you guys are probably familiar with the Disney Channel show That's So Raven.
Yes. That was a little after my time, but yeah, I'm familiar with it.
Okay. Well, there are two characters that were portrayed at the actors portrayed in the show. One was a teacher who constantly spit. Like as he would talk, he would spray the students and everything. He was the caterpillar.
Oh, wow.
In Adventures in Wonderland. And I can't recall his name. And then the other one, he had a cameo on That's So Raven, but he was also known as, again, I'm going to go date myself because I guess I do watch some chick flicks from, here on out, because with the Princess Diaries, her next door neighbor, Mr. Robitussin, who constantly comes out, gets the newspaper and is a grump, he was the White Rabbit.
Wow. Interesting. Very, very interesting.
So some of these other, older series has had their genesis somewhat in other things, within the Disney company. That's quite fascinating. It's what's also interesting is, to tell the story of how big these things actually were. A lot of what was featured on the Disney Afternoon and everything like that was also featured at the parks predating Mickey's Toontown.
Yes.
OG, if you could show my screen here real fast.
Sure. Oh, here we go.
And I do want to mention something after you do. Yes. And I do want to mention something a little bit more after you're done with that, Bash. So I want to add on to what you mentioned with the Toontown.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, it's this was how big this stuff was, and it was extremely popular. Obviously, it was cross promotion, but these things were actually relatively successful at the parks. This is actually at Disneyland. And like I said, it predates Mickey's Toontown. You can see this would still be the Fantasyland station, even before Mickey's Toontown station. You could see the motorboat cruise. They're Gummy Glen.
The Gummy Glen.
Yep.
And you know what? Real quick, not to interrupt.
Oh, go ahead.
But here's a little thing for fans to kind of keep in mind in the back of their head. Whenever Disney does like a meet and greet or an overlay like this, they're doing it for a reason. Like this is not an accident. Like you said, like Dre, you mentioned, this predates Toontown, and it predates Toontown not by a lot. It was just right before they started to build Toontown.
Right.
Not a coincidence that they kind of had a Toontown-esque. If you go down, like you'll see, they had like little houses and things of all these different Disney Afternoon characters, very much like Mickey's Toontown. They were beta testing this concept, which ultimately led to Mickey's Toontown. So when you start to see stuff like this, and look, we've even seen it recently at California Adventure, when they started a beta test the Marvel characters in Hollywoodland, that was to kind of give Disney some data in regards to, will Marvel work at DCA? And what did we get? We got Avengers Campus soon thereafter. So keep an eye when you see stuff like this going forward with these meet and greets and these overlays and these things in certain areas of the park. They're usually beta testing how well or how not well they'll do in the area. So
the and to even hit that point even more on the head, with Baloo from Tailspin, you could actually meet him at the back of this kind of temporary land, so to speak. But it was kind of like this dressing room kind of setting. But that was an actual beta test for the Mickey meet and greet that you would experience at Mickey's Toontown. So the idea to have multiple, Mickeys that, each group can kind of interact with, separately. That idea, has its genesis right here at Disney Afternoon, kind of this little area at Disneyland. So you are exactly right.
And Guest got a little bit of a taste of that nostalgia with the Disneyland After Hours event, the 90s night, which I could still kick myself because I really wanted to go to that. That's the one after hours event at Disneyland I would have given a kidney to go to, honestly, because I love the Disney Afternoon. I love that nostalgia. Darkwing Duck, out of like all the cartoon ones, Darkwing Duck was my show every day. Before and after school, Darkwing Duck was my show. And oh man, just looking at all this, it just wow.
It brings back memories. George, I don't know, and Dre too, I'll address both of you guys. I don't know if Dre, you were old enough, but it might have been like a local TV thing here in California, but with KCAL 9 leading up to the like Darkwing Duck's premiere, they had like that Darkwing Duck like rap. Do you guys have that over by you when you were little, like leading up to Darkwing Duck? It was a Darkwing Duck rap, and I'll link it down below.
Was it a music video?
It was a music video that they used to promote the show, the upcoming show, and it was really interesting. It was, and the reason why I'm bringing it up is because like
it sounds familiar. I can't place it fully in my mind, but it does sound familiar. It does.
Yeah, it was very. The reason why I'm bringing it up is because it was so 90s. Like when you watch this, they got overalls on, but one overall is like off, like hanging. and it's like hip hop with like the record scratches and stuff. It was so 90s. You couldn't get any more 1990s than this. It was great. It was phenomenal. I'll link it down below if anyone watching is, and George, yourself, Dre, if you're curious, it'll be in the links down below, because it was actually pretty funny. It was actually pretty funny. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about.
I'm sorry. Before you move on, just one last thing I just had to mention about Toontown. There was another special that was on TV, and again, I'm going to date myself with this, and it was called Mickey's Rockin Toontown. And it was a special that they held like a concert series at night for a bunch of kids. And it was with Craig and company, and it was he sings with his kid dancers behind him, and it was like just one of those things where I actually still have the videotape. I recorded it on a VHS tape, and I still have it packed away somewhere. And
well, we're still living with some of this stuff today. Gadget's Go Coaster being the most prominent example at Mickey's Toontown. So
he had like this little montage, like while he's saying, Mickey's Rockin Toontown, and you could see him riding Gadget's Go Coaster, and he's in Goofy's bounce house, and it's like
that's funny,
crazy.
That sounds familiar though. When you started singing it a little bit though, man, that sounds familiar.
I think I might be able to find a couple of the songs on YouTube if I can find them. I'll send them to you, and if you want to link them down below as well.
Absolutely, send it after we're done filming this. Send them to me, and I will definitely link them down below. Cool. Now, I do want to. We have a couple things to hit. I want to actually kind of wrap up this nostalgia segment. A huge part of the '90s Disney Channel, 90s, late '80s, early '90s Disney Channel, was the Mickey Mouse Club, and this was a gargantuan hit. And the thing with the Mickey Mouse Club is that it really did sort of continue what Walt started, with the Mickey Mouse Club in the 50s and the whole Annette Funicello thing, the child star, and cultivating the talent for future content, things like that. We saw it obviously with Annette Funicello, but then like when the 90s MMC Mickey Mouse Club came about, it exploded. Like Britney Spears came from that show, Christina Aguilera, NSYNC, Justin Timberlake, JC Chasez, Carrie Russell, who actually I had a huge crush on with that Mickey Mouse.
Please don't get me started with Carrie Russell, man. She was like
she was so like, dude, come on. Curly hair, don't care, man.
Oh, yeah. There you
go. She was gorgeous I mean, she's still gorgeous. She's still gorgeous, but I used to have the biggest thing for her. She was so cute back then, and like just the MMC in general had such a great cast and was so phenomenal in what it did. It was incredible the talent it cultivated from that show. Amazing. Amazing.
Well, it was huge. It was massive and a huge bump for some of these kids. I mean, we're Britney Spears, Justin Timberlake, Ryan Gosling. These are still household names today. It's all they started right here. And I believe, didn't they film this at Disney's MGM Studios?
They did.
They did.
Crazy.
Yeah, a lot of these shows came from Disney MGM Studios. MMC was one of them, like you said, Dre. Adventures in Wonderland was another one of them. I'm sure there was many, many more, but Michael Eisner, he utilized that park quite a bit. Now, I wanted to dedicate the last few minutes of this show on the future of the Disney Channel. We've kind of reminisced on the past. Dumbo Circus, Adventures in Wonderland, MMC, all of it. It's, but like what place, and I'll start with you, Dre, what place does the Disney Channel have in going forward? Like, does it have a place? Because we live in a new world now. This is like, when cable was kind of like conceived in the early 80s or whatever, there was definitely a need to have like a place where you can put all this Disney content onto one channel and not have to kind of shoehorn it into the existing networks. But now with Disney Plus, now with streaming, now with all this stuff, is there still a need for the Disney Channel, in your opinion, Dre?
Not nearly in the same way. And that's just due to the differences in distribution as they existed previously to now. I know Disney's talked about selling off some of their channels. That's why you have kind of the branding changes from like ABC Family to Freeform and stuff like that. They're trying to make them work, but I think for the future, I think I don't necessarily believe that TV is the way to go for Disney going into the future in quite the same way that it was back in the late 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. I think that's just kind of the reality of the marketplace as it exists, because when you have a kid, even younger kids, they can navigate applications just as good as the rest of them. So it's
better.
yeah, maybe even better. Exactly. So with that kind of consumer out there, I just don't see a need. And apparently, the Disney company might be thinking the same thing, because, like I said, they have thought about selling off some of their TV divisions.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you, Dre. I think that there is becoming less and less of a need to have a Disney Channel on cable TV. There's nothing that the Disney Channel on cable can do that Disney Plus can't accomplish, and Disney Plus can actually accomplish even more, because Disney Plus, look, Disney Channel, sadly, like we reminisced a lot today on the Disney Channel, those early years, those 80s and 90s years, where it was really family entertainment. And it was generational, where now it's really not. Unfortunately, it's really become a tween kind of like, like
It's more
early.
like Teen Nick is what it's like now. It's
Yeah,
like what Teen Nick is for Nickelodeon. That's what it became more towards, like how Nick has like the iCarly, sort of shows and everything. That's the kind of stuff that you get now on Disney Channel, unfortunately.
right.
And I just think it's just something where I wouldn't be sad to see it actually go and just they could just put everything on Disney Plus, because nothing that they have on there now is even remotely appealing to me. And it's not just because I'm in an older generation now, and then kind of going back to what we just talked about today. You put shows like out on that now, kids won't appreciate it, of like what it stood for, But I mean,
Right.
luckily I did get my son into, liking DuckTales and Goof Troop and Darkwing Duck and what have you. But I mean, even to the shows that are on now, he won't even watch the Disney Channel for what it is. He'll go on Disney Plus and he'll watch something of Star Wars or Marvel.
Yeah. No, I know. It's a different time. And you mentioned Nickelodeon. You guys, I wouldn't even mind diving into a Nickelodeon show, dude. I mean, some of the stuff from Nickelodeon is just as good as the stuff that was coming out of Disney Channel in those days. Like, George, I know you remember. You can't do that on television.
Oh, yeah.
You can't do that on television. Legends of the Hidden Temple.
What would you do?
Right. All of that stuff, like the Nickelodeon stuff, was like top tier. It was just as good as the Disney Channel stuff, like in that era,
We got to do an OrangeNerd Nickelodeon.
I'm down. Do you have Nickelodeon memories, Dre?
Quite a bit, yeah. I mean, Nickelodeon. I mean, there was a time when I think they were getting like 70 million viewers or something like that, and then Disney Channel was only getting like 32. I mean, they were killing.
They were killing Disney for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's huge business. So,
and of course, like late '90s, early 2000s, I was a big fan of all that.
I remember all that.
Oh my goodness.
I remember all that. Yeah. Oh man, yeah, we're going down the rabbit hole. That's for sure. Yeah, all that was great. It was kind of like a hip hop kid version of like SNL or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. I completely agree with you, fellas. I think that the Disney Channel concept, this cable TV network dedicated to Disney, is sort of becoming kind of an outdated concept, because now you have streaming. You can put all of this on Disney Plus, and there's no time slots, where you have to fit things in. You can just kind of dump all of it, and people can watch whatever they want.
And it's pretty much already right there now. Already, like if you go on Disney Plus, you can find all the shows and movies that are on Disney Channel right now. You can find on Disney Plus a lot of the DComs, the Disney Channel original movies.
Right.
You could watch like all the High School Musicals and the Zombies and the Descendants, and it's all on there now. So I mean, why should Disney have like that extra step? Why put it on regular cable television and then the streaming service simultaneously when you could just have the streaming service and save a couple bucks.
No, I agree. And I think the channel has become very limited in terms of like the scope. It's very narrow audience. It's that very early teen kind of group. And I think that with Disney Plus, it's everybody. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Fascinating conversation today with this, because I could go on. I'm telling you, if we started the Nickelodeon conversation right now, we can go for another hour easily. There was so much going on back then. But I do appreciate you guys coming on today, talking some Disney Channel and all these old shows, the future of the channel. I'll start with you, Dre. If you can let everybody at home know, just remind them where they can find you on social media.
Best place to interact with me is at Bash Guy here on Twitter. Having some great conversations, so thank you for reaching out. And the best place to see me is on your channel at OrangeGo55 at Freshly Squeezed, your source for juice news info, squeezed fresh right from the Grove. So that's where you can find me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And down below, Mr. Family Man, where can everybody find you on social media?
You can find me on my YouTube channel at Disney Family Man 23, which is also my Instagram, on Twitter at Disney George, and of course on Orange Grove 55's channel with Citrus Corner. And I do have to add on to, please, everyone who's watching this, comment down below. I want my Rockin Toontowners to please stand up, because I want to see everyone comment on who has seen Mickey's Rockin Toontown, because I want my peeps to come out of the woodwork here.
Well, and send me that stuff that you were going to send me that stuff. I can link it down below.
Will do.
Because, hey, you know what? There might be some younger fans that never seen it, and they might become new fans.
Yes.
You never know. You never know. You never know. But I want to thank you all so much for watching this episode of the Orange Nerd Show, where we dove into the history of the Disney Channel and the future of the channel. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Comment below with your favorite shows, whatever generation you're from. What did you watch on the Disney Channel? And what are your thoughts on the future of the channel? We would love to hear from you. Comment down. We've been getting a lot of great feedback from you guys lately. It's been really, really fun. So comment down below. And as always, have a wonderful, wonderful day.